जय श्री माता जी। उपस्थित सभी साधकों का हम स्वागत करते हैं। सामूहिक ध्यान की शुरुआत हम सामूहिकता में कुंडलिनी चढ़ाकर बंधन लेकर करेंगे। सामूहिकता में 3 महामंत्र और उसके बाद श्री गणेश मंत्र का पठन करेंगे।
त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाकाली त्रिगुणात्मिका कुण्डलिनी साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री कल्की साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देवी
सामूहिक चित्त को केंद्रित करेंगे सहस्त्रार पर। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी कृपावंत होकर हमें निर्विचार अवस्था प्रदान कीजिए। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी कृपावंत होकर हमें निर्विचार अवस्था प्रदान कीजिए। इसी निर्विचार अवस्था में हम श्री माता जी की अमृतवाणी को ग्रहण करेंगे।
I'm very happy that so many people have been able to come down. It's really a joyous moment to see so many people from Melbourne are here to establish their realization. There are three types of people who come to seeking. The lowest type are the ones who have some sort of physical ailments or some torture, some diseases, or who are on the verge of dying or something like that, an emergency in their mind. So they come to search. All right, even if they come, they can be helped, but that's not our top priority. Then there are second type of Sajogis, or we can say the people who come to Sajoga are the people who are seeking other things in life like jobs, money, this, that, all nonsensical things. But among them, there are some people who want to know the cause of the problem, why they are like that. The third type are the people who can be divided into two. One, the type that seeks balance, dharma, righteousness. Because they find in the world people are so horrible, so mischievous, so dangerous, so restless. They get worried about all the worldly turmoils that are on. They get shocked. And then they want to find a solution. Why have I come on this earth? This is one type, as we call Bahirmukhis. The ones whose attention is outside, but in a very subtler way, in a very divine way. The second ones in the same category are the ones who are seekers, who have been seeking in ages. They have been seeking in many lives. They have been seekers of truth. They have been on hills and dales, Himalayas, everywhere, have done everything else and now born again here to be able to find out the truth. These are called as Antarmukhis. These are the people who are inward. So the first priority we have to have of the third category, both the types are equally important. But after becoming realized, when you get your realization, then you achieve both the qualities simultaneously. You become a yogi inside and connected with the whole world. Your attention starts going outward because first the light is to be enlightened, and when light is enlightened, it gives the light. Now, this Kundalini, the force within you, as is said, is pure desire. It's not only pure desire, but it is a purification desire. It has a power to purify. It's tremendous power it is. And this Kundalini thinks, organizes, knows, coordinates, blesses, and ultimately guides. So, to go beyond the cause, we must understand that this Kundalini is the pure form. That means it is detached. Anything that gets attached is not pure. Anything that gets spoiled is not pure. What we say gold is pure because it is untarnishable. Untarnishable. That's the quality of gold. So it is immaculate. It cannot be ruined, spoiled by anything except that there could be khand, as they call it, could be broken in between and thus weak. So now something that has a purifying quality, like a purifying agent, say take a simple thing like soap. So the soap, wherever you apply, will clean. Kundalini, wherever it will go, it will clean, it will nourish. This is one quality that we must understand, that it is not tarnishable, it cannot be spoiled, it cannot be ruined. Moreover, it cleanses, it nourishes. But because it thinks, it knows how to nourish you, up to what point, how to go, how far to go, or it stops. But thinking is not vocal, it doesn't say anything. But when it goes around these chakras, it makes a sound. And these sounds are made because the movement of Kundalini through these chakras creates a non-percussion sound pass through these, creating sounds, and these sounds are then jotted down or heard by great saints and used in the phonetic language of Sanskrit. That's why Sanskrit is supposed to be the purest language. But you need not know Sanskrit now. There's no need. Because the deities know that you don't know the Sanskrit language. Now, this purifying fire within you, or the purifying force within you, or the power within you, goes and first of all enlightens our attention, which is in this part. As you see the green part, this is the attention. But the movement of attention then starts moving in all directions. Now when your attention is enlightened, what we call, you become collectively conscious. But still, how do you go beyond cause and effect is the point. Now this Kundalini being pure, no cause can be attached to it. No cause whatsoever. So if you can enter into the Kundalini on the principle of it, no cause can get attached to it. That's how you go beyond cause and effect. But how do you enter into the Kundalini? That's the main point. Main problem is, how do we enter into the Kundalini? Supposing you are paying attention to me and I say pay attention to yourself, you cannot. Even if Kundalini rises, your attention is attracted inside, still you cannot pay attention inside. So how do you pay attention inside? Is through this enlightened attention. This attention, which is enlightened, has a power to take your attention inside to the Kundalini. And that's how you enter into the realm which is detached. That's like fortress. Nobody can enter in there. So when you are in thoughtless awareness, when you are not thinking, you are in your fortress, nobody can jump at you, nobody can trouble you, all the causes drop out. That is why it is necessary first to practice, to be in that thoughtless awareness through the practice of Sahaja Yoga to begin with. So that you learn how to enter into that state, how to enter into that state. But first and foremost thing is that your Kundalini must be awakened, then it must be allowed to move properly. You must cooperate, you must know how to do it and raise it so that you keep it at least, if not above, at least in the brain. But best thing is, if it comes out, then you have no tensions, no worries, because everything that you have passes into your attention. Attention touches the Kundalini because you are a realized soul. and leaves it in the force of the Kundalini, in the current of Kundalini, and this current takes away everything that is out. And that's how you are cleared. This is a very, very simple way of explaining how you go beyond cause and effect. And this is what happens. But for that, it is necessary that you must learn how to enter into your Kundalini, how to keep your attention enlightened. Now it's very easy. Your attention gets involved into anything through your thoughts. Because when your consciousness entered into you, being the prismatic brain, like a prism, your attention has gone out. Now to keep this attention detached, you have to make it a pure attention. To begin with, you must try to put attention inside, to be a witness. Try to be a witness. But how? How will you know that you are a witness? You have to be in thoughtless awareness. When you are in thoughtless awareness, then what happens? That you are detached. You are seeing everything. There are many people who talk about thoughtless awareness. You'll be surprised. I have heard some gurus, they might have, I don't know, because I went to America a long time back and they must have recorded it or whatever it is. They talk of it. But there isn't anything way of doing it. Kundalini is the only way you can go into thoughtless awareness. Your attention can go. So, these people are also using words of Sahaja Yoga. I have seen that. Has no meaning because they cannot reach the Kundalini, but that makes no difference because now you have become your own guru and you find out for yourself. So throw away all these fake gurus away from you. The problems, the barriers, the worst of all in Sahaja Yoga comes from people who have been to other gurus. It's a headache, I tell you, for you and for us. First of all, that you should realize that whatever you have been doing with other gurus has been all false and fake is difficult because you are so conditioned. I must tell you very frankly. So the growth doesn't take place because you have to become the guru. You cannot depend on anybody as guru, but you have to become the guru. I can only guide you as a mother. I can only tell you what it is. I can only take your Kundalini there, but it is you who has to become. Like I would say, I can cook for you, but you have to eat and you have to enjoy the taste of it. I can't enjoy for you. So then you have to give up those things which you have been following, which are wrong. There may be some guru who might have been a good guru, but I don't think anybody has come on the Western side. I haven't known of anyone who has come on the Western side because I sent one fellow, he ran away in 3 days from New York. He wouldn't settle down there. He ran up to the Himalayas and he said, I don't want to come, mother, don't send me anywhere. He couldn't bear the pain. He didn't have the patience. So, though they did not crucify him, but still he ran away, you see. He said, whatever you may say, mother, I cannot face these people, are terrible. They are just dollars, nothing yet but moving dollars. All right. So with this kind of barrier, it's very difficult to convince people. Still they'll go on fighting. This my guru says so, my guru. So then you go to your guru. It's the best way we take it. Because how can we go on convincing? You also get a headache. You see, if you take some horrible guru's name, you get a headache. Really, you get catch. You get a catch on this finger. You get a catch on this finger. You get catch everywhere. So you don't want to hear about any guru. Even discussing these gurus, you feel terrible. It's so disgusting. Whether they're fake, horrible money makers, you don't know when you see them. You don't know whether to laugh or to cry. This is the situation. So, best is to find for yourself. If you are willing to give up the gurus, then only trouble these Sahaja Yogis. You see, they get fed up with it. They don't want to fight that. Now, even if you want to give up, they won't give you up because they have possessed you. They are like leeches. So, you still have catches of the guru. This is the worst catch that we have so far seen. Now, in the beginning, of course, they had patience, but now I think they have exhausted the patience. So when yesterday I told them there were lots of people in Melbourne, I think a lot of people will come to Sahaja Yoga. But they asked me one question, but how many from other gurus God alone knows? Because it's a big headache. So I would request you to put your guru on somewhere else and come here and see that you become the guru to understand that another fellow. And then when they discover about the Guru, they go on saying that chap, that guy, and all kinds of things they say about him. But before that, they'll fight for that Guru. So that is one thing you must understand, that don't play into the hands of these people. Because I paid for it, mother. I paid 6,000 pounds. All right, so what? Must you have more of that? Because they suffer, they have epilepsies, they have all kinds of problems. We have had people of gurus who had epilepsies. Horrible, this is TM people having epilepsies. I've cured so many of them. I openly say that. Some doctor is Dr. Frenick, he's publishing article about it. Nobody listens. There's a competition going on like a horse racing. Oh, have you been to TM? No, it's expensive. All right, I'll try that. There's a sale on. Guru shopping sale. So there's a competition setting. Have you been to that sale? Have you been to that sale? It's like that. So you must know it's frivolous. It's cheapish. It's useless. Come to the brass tacks, as the Americans say. Come to reality. And see for yourself that these are all fake things. This is not the way you can raise the Kundalini. The greatest criteria, of course, is money, but another one is that whatever they tell you, you can do it yourself. Why do you need a guru for that? Like somebody said, my guru gave me a name. I mean, anybody can give you a name. You can give yourself a name, whatever you want. Why do you need a guru for that? Or he gave me these clothes, or he gave me this mala, or he made me jump, or he made me take out the clothes. Or somebody, you see, another fellow is giving me drugs. Third person allows me to do that. I mean, as if these gurus allow you, you think that God will allow you also. He allows us to have mass sex. So he's a very good guru because he allows us. Why don't you go to some other places where you can do it without taking an allowance and payment to the guru? But the guru is waiting in the hell and you will be there soon. This is fact. So don't go after such horrible gurus who teach you all wrong things. Now what is it? Is that we, as soon as we get our realization, we also realize about ourselves that this part of ours is lost. That part of ours is lost. This is not there. We realize. And when we realize that, we don't mind correcting it because we see ourselves. We don't have to ask anybody. We just see this thing within us happening. We see this part is not there. Our attention is not all right. We cannot concentrate on anything. We understand so many things about ourselves after realization. Now for that, supposing Mr. X has some problem. He tries to solve his problem, he cannot. Because he has his own problem. So he comes to the collective. He comes to the whole. Then what happens? Somebody else has got that point stronger and some other point weaker. As a result, the strength of one person helps another person's weakness to be cured. And that's how there's a mutual curing system, process which builds in. And that's how people get themselves all right, perfected. And that is why it's a collective happening. And when you become collective, you'll be surprised, your heart opens out and you are amazed that human beings are so good, so beautiful. They are all such beautiful creation of God. You start enjoying each other, really feeling the expansion of your being, that you are the other, that they are you. Such a great feeling. I don't know if you can feel it at this stage or not. But just to think they are all yours and you are theirs, no problem remains. Between relationships, nothing. No problems of any kind. But also, no problems that would affect you remains because everybody is there to fight for it, to work for it, to help you out. It's very surprising how it works out. Even relations of Sahajogis are helped so much that they are amazed how so many come forward to help. Normally people gather only for festivals or good things. But when there is difficulty, nobody gathers. And this is something great about Sahajogis, that when there is a difficulty in a Sahajogi, supposing a Sahajogi has a mother who is sick and she's not a Sahajogini, they'll go and help her. But she has to be a relation, somebody close to the Sahajogi. The attention has to be there that a Sahajogi is there in trouble, we must help our brother. You really become pure brothers and sisters after coming to Sahajogi. This is what happens very easily to you. So you must be collective being. That's how you start correcting each other. Also, you develop all the knowledge, everything about Sahajog, you understand. It's very knowledgeable. Because once you know all about it, you are amazed. There are people who have never spoken in the public. I find after realization, after a month, they are great speakers. Suddenly you see them. You can't believe it. The other day, I was in a village traveling by a bullock cart. And the bullock cart driver, I talked to him and I said, "What? This is Nanaka? Or is it Kabira speaking?" Such a great saintly sayings. I was amazed. I said, "From where did you get it?" He said, "Mother, from you." I said, "From me?" I'm quite amazed. It's coming from where? It's all coming from my brain only. So your brain gets that kind of an enlightenment. Not that you become a saint, we talk like a saint, you walk like a saint. All your behavior is saintly. Nobody has to tell you. Just be calm. The whole countenance, the temperament, the stateliness, all comes to you once for all. It's beautiful. Sacrifice doesn't become a sacrifice anymore. It's joy. Sacrifice means a joyous thing. That you should be able to sacrifice. But that doesn't mean that you give all your money to your guru or something like that. Never. Sacrifice doesn't mean that nonsense. So you don't give. What you give is the sacrifice of time. You have to sacrifice so-called time that is so important to you. Like these days people have watches. In modern times people have watches. They must see watch. They must know about time. Saving time, saving time, saving time for what? For spending in your meditation. Spending in doing God's work. It is for that. People are unemployed for doing God's work. Simple as that. If you get unemployed, you do God's work and you get employment as well as you do God's work. In London, England is, full of unemployment, but not a single Sir Yogi is unemployed, and he's also doing God's work. And God's work is nothing to be done much, but to be one with God is the point. If you are one with God, well, then the work is done by God. Now what is it doing? This is doing nothing. It's just in between, but it is doing a work. If it is not there, you may not hear me. So in a way it is doing the work, but it is not doing it. It is a hollow thing. That's how you become a hollow personality and you start working for God. It's so enjoyable. Life is so enjoyable. Life is for you for enjoyment and not for becoming miserable or unhappy. But you become, first of all, you have to become that. Unless and until you become that, all my promises are false. To become is a desire must come from you. We cannot force you. I have told you many a times. And again I request you, the desire has to pull down. Because of your conditionings, because of other lethargies that you have, because of many other books you have read, or maybe I don't know what you have done, but some people are really lethargic towards their ascent. They are really very sluggish. That's how they do not rise, while some people rise very fast and they come up very fast and they do very well. So one has to take advantage of the time so that you are useful to the rest of the world and that you are helpful to everyone. Sahaja Yoga is not for one person. It is for the whole society, for the whole world, and for the emancipation of humanity. This is what is already described in so many books, in scriptures. But for that, you are chosen. You are the one who is doing it. So understand your own responsibility. Understand your own powers. And don't come now for treat me this and mother treat me for that. My mother's fathers, uncles, this thing is sick there. Don't worry on this point. First you get all right. Get all right means you meditate. Now those who are sick here need not come out with their sickness at all. They will be told how to get their sickness all right. They themselves can treat it. I don't have to treat you. But once you are treated, keep to certain limits. If you go beyond limits, then you are caught up. Say you are in the limit of this hall, you are sitting here, and there are all negativities all around. All right? Now, if you leave this, you catch it. So keep your limits. Not that you become a sort of a rabid Sahaja Yogi, doesn't mean that. But keep your limits, but don't do wrong things. As I told you, there was a fellow who was suffering from AIDS, was cured by Sahaja Yoga. Actually, I never touched him. But he did come to see me, that's all. He was sitting with a hand towards me, my photograph and all that. He was completely cured. But again, he did the same thing. He didn't do any work for Sahaja Yoga, in the sense he never came to see people, nothing of the kind. Again, he got it. There are many people who got realization and then they get cancer. So they said, "Mother, how did we get cancer?" Because you never tried to look after yourself. So you are just the same and you are not helped. No, sometimes you can be even worse. You see, because the divine doesn't like this. It has spent some time on you. It has worked on you. It's not easy to raise the Kundalini of so many people with such complications. It's like a mountain you have to raise. You get so tired sometimes. So one has to understand that somebody who respects our personality, respects our ascent, loves us so much, we should also show some interest in ourselves. So that is the wisdom one has to have, and one has to work hard. Because you are all sages of the ancient times. You are not sages today. Only thing, God of men have to become prophets and have to give realizations to others so that they become prophets, as said by William Blake. Now, I think today I have spoken quite a lot. I would like to have some questions from the new people, but sensible questions, not aggressive questions, because this place is not for aggression, it's for love. May God bless you.
Any questions? Just tell, I'll pass it on to them.
Can a mentally ill person be helped?
Can a mentally ill person be helped?
Again, you will start making list of all kinds of patients of the world. It's typical. When you come to Sahaja Yoga, think of yourself. Do you think, are you all right? You are not. You see, we are not to open a hospital. That's one thing. Of course, mentally can be retarded. But first you be all right. First you pay attention to yourself. That's the point I'm trying to say. You see? Don't miss the point. First you get well yourself. You become equipped. Then you can cure a mentally equipped person, a mentally retarded person. Now how? Our attitude is like this, you see? That we have somebody in mind. Say, somebody very close, my child or someone, is sick. So we come to Sahaja Yoga. So we think that, will the mentally be this thing, then I will get my ascent, if the child could be cured. Now the child is sick, all right, but you are all right. It's your life that's important. First see that you get to it, and then you cure your child. But if you come in a circuitous way, divine also finds devious ways of running away from. Take a straightforward thing. I want realization for myself. How many children we have had in previous lives? How many husbands? How many wives? Why worry about this? First of all, worry about yourself. What am I? But when, you'll be surprised, when you become established yourself, you become the citizen. And your dependents are looked after by divine. No doubt. They are looked after. They are blessed by the divine. It's a fact. You will see yourself. But first of all, you enter into it. So don't worry about all kinds of problems and things. I tell you, 99% diseases can be cured. 99%. But that's not important. Just now you should be all right. You should be the light. All right?
Yes.
Well, I'll ask a personal question about myself, not you. I have a nerve pinched on the right hand side of the skull. No, sorry. Yeah, that's the right hand side. Going down my neck, right through the arm, and it's blocking the nervous impulses to the hand. Therefore, it's making the hand tremor. Can this be cured?
Yes, it can be. All right. Done? It can be. But you have to come here to know how to get yourself cured. As you go to a doctor, you come here, and whatever they say you do it, it can be cured. It has been cured, it will be cured. So you just don't have to worry. It can be done. But it does not mean that you come for that. Your Kundalini has to be raised, and then the Kundalini will do it. So you come here as you go to any doctor. Now the trouble is, when they go to a doctor, they pay so much money. I'm just telling a general, not for you, but in general. They'll have to wait outside for 3 hours, they'll wait there, pay the doctor. But here, if they have to wait even for 5 minutes, they start shouting. You see, you have no right that you should ask for the blessings. But it is the grace of God that it is going to bless you, all right? So come with a humble mind that you should be cured, and it can be easily cured. What else?
Can anyone be realised without knowing about Kundalini?
Can anyone be realized without knowing about Kundalini?
About mentally, need not know much. It can be realized, of course, you can be. But then you have to tell them what it is. This thing is better to do that way. But there will be very few who will accept such a situation because they want to know about everything. But they need not know all that. You can little bit say, tell them that there is a way of getting realization. And then it's like this, that when you come to me, you want to have the lights, I'll say, all right, go. There's a switch you put on. And you put on the switch, you get the lights without telling about it. But you would like to know how this light is done. And that helps you to create other lights. That's why it is important to know about Kundalini. I can do it without telling you anything about Kundalini. I can raise your Kundalini, but you would not know anything about it, and you would not know what it is. It has happened with many who were born realized. They did not know they were realized souls, and they got lost. Like I would say, greatest example, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a realized soul, and he got lost because he didn't know he was a realized soul. He was a higher personality than others. He got lost. So many got lost like that.
Excuse me, if your Kundalini was arisen and you were that, how could you be lost? I mean, you have it, so how could you be lost?
How can you be lost if the Kundalini has been awakened?
No, it is because you see, it is you are not yet fully developed, matured person. When you are in an immature state, it does happen. Kundalini is, when it rises, you'll be surprised. In some people, it is just a wee bit, just like a hair, just comes up a little because it's so difficult. You see, the passage is so blocked, so a little bit comes up. This is what it is. It is a complete realization takes place only when you are nirvikalpa samadhi. That's a higher state. So in the beginning, it just a little wee bit opens up, and 1% people do get lost. They do, because they have egos, they have super egos, all kinds of things. They do get lost. So be careful. Whatever is the fact.
Can we all become fully realized in this life?
I wish everybody could, but how many would be there? See, in Melbourne, how many people there are? But how many come to the program? And how many come here?
Now, in this lifetime.
Can it be done in this life?
Of course, can be done. But without their knowledge, to give them realization is not possible. They have to know it, that they are in for realization. They have to ask for it. You cannot mesmerize. You have to tell them, this is, I am going to give you realization. This you have to tell them. You have to take their permission. You cannot just do without their permission.
But he's saying, can we achieve it? Once we get the hair's breadth, can it be something that we can...
Oh, I see. You are saying about, yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't matter, hair's breadth. In some people it is hair's breadth, in some people it's quite a lot. It can. Everybody can achieve it, no doubt. That's what I'm saying. But in the beginning, sometimes it can be very small, and then people lose it. See now, yesterday, at least 200 people got realization. At least 200. Out of which about 100 are here. So you can imagine how they get lost, you see. You see, they want some sort of a circus, some sort of a nonsense before them. They're used to that. No? They got realization, no doubt they got it. But no, they didn't come. Now, what is it?
I was at the other night and I got realization that when I was born and my mother, I was born a clairvoyant.
What?
He was born a clairvoyant. He said he felt his realization the other night.
I don't really want to be a clairvoyant.
He doesn't want to be a clairvoyant.
What's the future?
You see, clairvoyant is also two types of things. You see, there's one who could be a realized soul, born realized soul. He's not clairvoyant, but such a person can heal. Such a person knows more than others know, can be more creative, maybe more successful. So many things are there with a person who is a born realized, as I told you. Many were like that. But, or could be the other way, that those who are born and trying to be something artificially, then these spirits come in and they make them clairvoyant. So forget it, whatever has happened. There's no need to have any clairvoyance anymore. You become the owner of that power, which you know how to maneuver, what it is, how it comes, how it works, everything. So you become a knowledgeable person, an expert.
Actually, I was the same. I had the same ability. As soon as Mother worked on this chakra, I lost that thing. It happened within days, if not
That's a
hours.
very... Oh, it's true.
If a person gets a realization,
does it affect his karma and reincarnation?
Oh. Now, when the Kundalini rises above the Agya Chakra, as I told you, it sucks your ego and superego. So by this, it sucks in your karmas. It sucks in your kusamskaras. It sucks in your so-called sins. So there is no one. See, for an animal, there is nothing like karma. Say, a lion has to eat a cow. It eats. It has to eat. It doesn't feel it has done committed some sin. Have you seen any dog feeling that he's committed some sins? Or sulking? Maybe a dog, because he lives with human beings, so might. But animals do what they have to do. They don't carry on with it. They don't commit any sins, nothing. The idea of sin has come to us. It's because of our ignorance. And because people have said that if you do like this, then you are crossing your limits. You are going to adharma. That's why this idea has come to us. But that's what Kundalini is. When she touches this chakra of Mahavishnu, she sucks it. All that is there, that's the beauty of Kundalini. And you are no more with your ego or superego. So how can you be any more sinful, or the karmas are finished? On the contrary, if you try to cleanse your karmas, you say, I've done bad karma, so I should do this and do that, you build up your ego. Because ego is there. Whatever you do in the name of God or in the name of anything, what you do is to just pamper your ego. Even if you are not aware of it, it is there. Those people who do missionary work, you must go and see them how they live. They are extremely hot-tempered ladies, hot-tempered men. I know of somebody who has got a Peace Prize, but if you see the person in heat, terrible heat, all the wrinkles you can count one by one on the face. Because you think, you see, you are conscious that this is done by me. Well, any other question? No?
I also was at your lecture on Friday night. For me, it clarified and strengthened feelings and knowledge that have been growing within me for some time. Since Friday, I felt closer to my family, and the love I have for them has been clarified a lot. But it's also made me feel apart from them, and I'm worried about this gulf that's
Good. I'm glad you've raised that question. She came to your program. She felt tremendous sense of awareness and growth. She felt a great deal of love for her family, but she's also aware that maybe she's going to feel apart from them, or they perhaps apart from her.
No. You don't get involved into them. That's the point. You're not a part, you're part and part, but you're not involved. Say, supposing your child is sick, take it like this, and if you are involved with the child, then you cannot treat the child. You get so upset, you see. If you have to go to the hospital that side, you'll take your car the other side. Because you are so upset. But when you are detached, you see the whole thing very well. And you enjoy their love much more, because you are in a position to see that love. Otherwise you don't see love. When you are involved, you don't see anything.
Maybe we feel as though we may drift away from her.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. On the contrary, so many families have come down. So many. You see, we had some people in England, they were mostly hippies and had left their parents, this, that. They all went back to their parents. They brought their parents to Sahaja Yoga also. Yes? It's not like that. But you do not take unnecessary burdens. Now supposing somebody's father is a drunkard. We had one hippie who got all right, and then he became very good. Now he's doing very well in life. He's a very good fellow. So he went home and his father used to drink. And he was worried this fellow is going to die about alcoholism. So he didn't know what to do. So he told him, don't drink. Better take to Sahaja Yoga. If your Kundalini is raised, you will not drink. But I like it, he said. All right. So next he went. He broke all his glasses and bottles. So when he came home, he got very angry. He just kept quiet. He just laughed. He said, "You go and get some bottle from outside." Then he was already so drunk he couldn't go out anywhere. See. And gradually he found that there's a kind of a protest from the family. They don't like it, the way he's drinking. He gave up. And he himself is a Sahajogi today. So you correct them. When we are involved, we don't even want to correct because we are frightened we lose our children, lose our love and all that. This is no love. Love must prune a person. Love must correct a person. But in a way, that is not so aggressive, in a simple way. And the fellow is saved. He would have been dead with alcoholism. He was about to die. So the real love comes is not indulgences, by seeing the person as he is. Then you enjoy all the beauties, little things that are done, how it's bubbling with joy and happiness. You see the other person better. But if you are involved, then you can be also selfish. It could be some sort of possessiveness. Can be anything. But if you are not, you see yourself and you see that. The love is much more. There should be some distance for the love to work out, isn't it? If you are involved, they are doomed and you are doomed, sort of a position is there. So it's very good that has happened to you. Now you can love them better, much better, in a much more sensible way. Love has to be nourishing, not destroying. Mostly you find when you love your children, some so-called those who love, spoil them. If you love your wife beyond certain limits, she becomes a shrew. If you love your husband, he becomes alcoholic, like that. Love always, in the right sense, means correction. But if not, some people say, all right, my husband likes this, doesn't matter. Even in England, some women say, all right, if he wants to have a keep, let him have. I love him. Can you imagine? Because I love him, let him do what he likes. Losing all your self-respect, everything in the name of love is nonsense.
इसी अवस्था में हम कुछ समय निशब्द ध्यान में बैठते हैं। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी, आपकी परम कृपा में हम सदैव सामूहिकता से जुड़े रहकर आपके श्री विराट और श्री विराटांगना स्वरूप के आशीर्वाद को प्राप्त करें। हम सदैव निरानंद अवस्था को प्राप्त करें। श्री माता जी, आपकी परम कृपा में अपने प्रकाशित ज्ञान से अनन्य भक्ति में उतरकर हम सहयोग का प्रत्येक कार्य करें और उस कार्य को करते समय हम अकर्म अवस्था को प्राप्त करें। श्री माता जी, आपकी परम कृपा में हम सब प्रकाश बनकर इस विश्व का आध्यात्मिक उत्थान के मार्ग में मार्गदर्शन करें। कृपावंत होकर हम सबको कुशल संभाषण, दैवी कूटनीति, प्रभावी व्यक्तिमत्व और विवेक प्रदान कीजिए। श्री माता जी, आज का यह सामूहिक ध्यान हम आपके श्री चरणों पर समर्पित करते हैं। कृपावंत होकर हम सबको और इस विश्व को आशीर्वादित कीजिए। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी को प्रणाम करेंगे और सामूहिकता में कुंडलिनी चढ़ाकर बंधन लेंगे। आज का यह ध्यान सत्र यहीं पर संपन्न होता है। जय श्री माता जी।